Start recording now. Okay, good. So my name is Eugene. I have 3 kids, age 18, who's a son, and then 14 and 12, 2 daughters. Yeah. And then Varuna has 2 kids. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your kids?
I have 2 boys. They're 9 and 6, and they're a really naughty bunch.
Good. Naughty means healthy. Yes. Yeah. So Varuna and I both have a hybrid of corporate experience. We both work in banks before, different banks. And we underwent a lot of corporate training, leadership training, sales training, mindset transformation training. And we also did a lot of kids training. Yeah, so that's what I mean by hybrid, not online, offline. Yeah, hybrid of corporate and kids. So we thought, actually it's very much needed, where we also introduce corporate concepts to parents and kids. Yeah, because by the time the kids grow up to be 20-something, 30-something, then start attending their first leadership training, a bit late, honestly. So now while they are still moldable, parents can do a lot, during dinner time, morning time, bedtime, garden time, a lot of time. All these are teachable moments. Okay, so tonight we are going to share some experiences, both the good and the bad, and then we'll also invite you to share your experience. Okay, yeah, which is why we asked you to open video lah. Okay, so without further ado, let me go straight to the point. Yep. Varuna has prepared some wonderful slides, but
this
we won't
just just for you to follow some things. That's it, not to really. I'm not going to be reading out of the slides.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, but the first thing that I would like to ask is that why do any of you think that creativity is important? There's a reason that you're here. So I'd like to know why you think that creativity is important for your child and therefore you should attend this.
Maybe Kenneth first. Why is creativity important?
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I relocated to Japan, right? And that was partly because of the fact that I also work in the bank, and like you, I do see a lot of changes over the past few years in terms of restructuring, foreign coming in, and when I'm still very much pro local hiring, but some of the things that I do see over my hiring process, right, whether is it through experienced hire or graduate hire, I do feel that the local has been a bit disadvantaged to the education process, where there is a lot of things that is like, in Chinese they call it 填鸭式教育, right? Where they stuff everything in and you don't really actually produce thinkers, but you're producing exam smart children that can be academically very good, but in the corporate world suffer because either lack of the social engagement, or of able to apply some of the soft skill that they learn through school, that may be through ECA or whatever, but because the parents may be too focused on some of the academic results that doesn't allow that. So that's why, and also some of the things I do see also that some people are actually quite good at their work, but they are not good at articulating, right? Whereas some of the other people can be very good, very eloquent, but actually lack depth and knowledge. So that's one of the things that I feel that, where it could be a different kind of issues that created some of the unemployability, or the way how we can't move up our corporate ladder in some of the MNCs, right? So that's one of the things I recognize, and that's why at a very young age I really wanted them to actually get out from the education system in Singapore for a start, not to be too overburdened by academic, enjoying the childhood, smell the roses. But too much of this in Japan right now is that I do feel that the mathematical and some of the like spelling and things here, this is really bad. So I am also now in the crossroad. What should I do? But I do feel that the childhood is something that when you start to appreciate and like going to school, you mix around with different people, especially in an international school. You have all different countries coming together.
Yes.
Then you build your sense of confidence talking to different people, not of your same race or nationality or ethnicity.
Yep.
Those who actually build your identity, build your confidence, and then able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the people that is coming to look for job with you in future, right? So that's something that I really hope I can do with this relocation to Japan. And that's why I think creativity cannot be learned, but the environment, the people, and the experience actually kind of create that ecosystem for you to
ecosystem.
Correct. You're right, Kenneth. I mean, what the point you said, that employability, we are creating sort of people who are good at getting exam results. But the point is that, and we are saying that they'll be employable, but the point is, do any of us know what are the jobs going to be after, say, 20 years or 30 years? All our kids are over here are an average 10 years, 12 years. So they're going to be in the workforce for the next 60 years. Okay. Does anyone here know what jobs are going to be there after 30 years? We have no idea.
Yep.
And we are supposed to prepare them for it as parents. So you're right. You can't really teach creativity, but you can nurture it, and you can stop it from being killed by the negative environment. Okay. So that's why you need creative problem solving, because children need to encounter new things. They don't know what they're going to encounter. We don't know what they're going to encounter. So we have to prepare them to come up and face challenges which are new and solve them creatively. In fact, if you see the World Economic Forum says that the top trending skills that are going to be needed in the fourth industrial revolution, creativity and innovation are among the top 3 skills, based on how technology is moving, the kind of jobs that are going out of the market, going to robots, going to machines. Based on that, they think that creativity and innovation are going to be the top skills that are going to be needed. In fact, even companies like IBM, which have done like a lot of surveys across 60 countries, they've surveyed CEOs, and everybody has said that creativity is the most crucial factor for future success. Even in Singapore, actually, they're talking now about super creativity, which is combining creativity of humans with AI to come up with super creativity, because that is something neither machines nor humans can do individually by themselves. So first, before I go into nurturing creativity, what do you think is creativity? Maybe I can ask Kai, what do you think is creativity?
Okay, so I think that creativity is basically the ability to think beyond, think of an issue in a deeper way. That is, people will say it's out of the box thinking, but I don't like to use that word because it's very cliche.
Yep.
It's no longer out of the box.
Yeah, it's more like to think of solutions that nobody has thought of, innovative ideas that that may not be tested, but could offer potential, that has potential for new results.
Yeah.
So creativity means also being able to express yourself in different ways. So for example, music and art are considered creative pursuits, right? Why?
Yep.
Because no one person can do the same thing. Okay, so you can play the same piece of music, but you may have the different interpretation of it.
Yep.
And that is also an expression of creativity.
So is creativity only limited to art, music, dance?
No. Like I said, is thinking beyond the usual to come up with new solutions. Just like how even scientists can be very creative, right? Like now they say that, I think recent news was the NUS researchers found some kind of a new, they call it bio cure or something like that for lung infection. And previously people would think that, you just take medicine to cure your lung infection, but now you're using a biological substance, a cell or something derived from bio sources, you know.
Yep.
Or last time people said, oh, burn victims, you have to put silicone or whatever, some kind of chemical covering, right? But now scientists are saying that you can use fish skin, a bandage that's derived from fish skin to heal the wound. So all these are also, in my opinion, creative thinking, you know, to look beyond the usual sources.
Very, very insightful, Kai. Thanks for sharing that. I completely agree with you that creativity is in all fields. It could be, it's just about looking at something differently, like you said, at looking at something in different ways. And everybody in every field needs creativity. Like you gave a good example of scientists needing creativity. Politicians need creativity to deal with situations like COVID. Okay, come up with voucher to go and spend in tourism industry. Okay, so all policies, scientists, everybody needs creativity to look at things in different ways. It could be just doing the same thing differently, like a lot of us have done in COVID. I'm sure we all have a lot of examples of how we have been doing things differently, besides the usual, you know, classes being handled offline, online. But even, you know, how a lot of how restaurants have pivoted their space, for example, into suddenly becoming co-working spaces. Okay, so COVID really has taught all of us that you have to expect the unexpected and look at it differently. Okay, so we've seen suddenly home bakers becoming into full-time bakers. We've seen you know, nightclubs becoming into restaurants, restaurants becoming into co-working spaces. And then you've seen creativity where teachers have gone ahead and you know, taught classes in villages by putting speakers because people don't have enough network. So there's been so much of creativity happening just because there was an unexpected situation. And that's what we want our children to also imbibe. Right? So it could be using the same thing differently. It could be using, you know, laser beam, which is for you know, on Marina Bay Sands, and it is similarly used by a disabled to control their keyboard. So similar to an example where you said, you know, the BioCure or fish skin for burns. It's just putting 2 and 2 together from different areas. Okay, so there are multiple reasons. I don't need to go into that again. Let's jump straight into what can we do as.
Can I just share something for that part? I think when you ask about whether arts and science, only arts can actually nurture creativity, right? I think actually it's not mutually exclusive. But if you look at the olden times, right, you look at Da Vinci. Da Vinci is both a scientist and also an artist. And actually a lot of all these things actually boils down that, you know, arts and science have some similarity, but when you're able to appreciate some of the things in arts that actually have solution to some of the science problem existing.
We'll come to that. Thank you, Kenneth, for sharing that. We will be covering some part of that, you know. In fact, NUS has started a new school wherein they're going to have a T approach, which is that they're going to be teaching a lot of subjects and deep dive into 1 or 2 that you like, because everybody realizes that it's no longer the time of you know, just one trick pony. You have to be jack of all trades. Earlier, you know, there used to be a joke that he's a jack of all trades, master of none, but now it's actually the time where you need to be jack of all trades, because that's where your creativity comes in. So,
and also the other one thing about creativity, right? Sometimes there's no right or wrong kind of creativity. And that's where, you know, when Kai was just mentioning about out of the box, but actually it may not be just out of the box. It might be the things that you're doing, but you're trying to perfect it. Like, for example, take for example, a production plant or whatever, right? From step 1 to step 10, no, it's a known process, but what you can do is that within that step 1 to step 10, can you remove some of the current steps? Like, for example, me, I was always very lazy, right? I would never want to do a repetitive process over a long period of time. I will always want to look at, you know, is there any way to actually skip some of the processes, or is there a pattern that actually I can observe to actually improve and not spend unnecessary time on things that is, to me, is time consuming and waste of time, right? So that sometimes actually having lazy as a character may be a good thing, because sometimes if you put it into a right frame of mind where you try to change, I don't want to do this thing every time, and then you think of something new, right? The other thing is also about diversity, where creativity sometimes may not be innate, but when you are actually able to have a very good social skill where you can get people together, brainstorm, and then think about, if not this, what about the other thing? The challenging process, actually through consensus, actually you also can have creative discussion that is not just falling on one person. So the social skill of people that they can mobilize and have very good discussion, and not having very conflict and toxic kind of environment, but as a collaborative environment that actually will also bring out the best in the team to come up with very creative solution. The last thing actually I was thinking about is actually the fact that we say that creativity sometimes, because of the fact that you are not pushed, you don't actually try to think about it, and one thing actually is because of the entitlement mindset that we have, that everything we want, we are provided for, the government, our parents, right? And it kind of lose some of the resilience character that one should have, that you fail and then you actually did not fall down and never pick yourself up. And through that, you actually try to think about, how can I make my business back into profitability again, right? So those are things that actually I see that sometimes the environment, that's why I say the ecosystem, right? That we shouldn't allow all these things to happen. And we should try to push our kids that try to make them uneasy, right? And that's where they are able to fail in a controlled environment, where in the future it's going to be hard, because they will learn it the hard way, and sometimes they may not pick themselves up, right? Or it's a hard fall, and then they just take too long to actually recover.
I think where you should join our team with Eugene and myself.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, we're going to run future sessions. Then so you can also share what you do with your kids.
One thing actually, I was keeping a very open mind, because the fact that I have already reached a certain level in corporate life, and I really want to contribute back. And coaching is one of the calling that I have to see how we can bring all these things to light, so that we can make sure that people can travel the less rugged way, and able to find something that they can have, some people that they can kind of coach and mentor. So those are things that if I go back to Singapore, I would definitely
Hey Kenneth, can you do me a favor? Private message me your number, because I'll have your Maddie's number, but not your number. Yeah. Then we can talk about future sessions, collaboration. Okay. Hey, thank you.
Okay, so first thing, before we go into what we really mean by ask questions, this is a recent picture of my son having dropped his badminton shuttlecock while playing inside the house on the window ledge. Now, I want to help him solve this problem. Can some of you come up with some questions of what you will ask him or her to help solve this problem?
Let's try Lei Kim first. What question will you ask?
Wow. You help him to take the shuttlecock from the bench?
Yeah, it's on the window ledge. It's too. I can't go on it. I'm going to fall if I go on the window ledge.
Right. Okay. I'm not a very creative person, but let me try.
Start with questions.
Yeah. So can you get maybe your brother to help you to take the shuttlecock from the latch, rather than you doing yourself?
Okay, I say no. The brother is out for tuition.
Or maybe you need to take something, I don't know, some stretch, something long for you to take the shuttlecock from the latch.
Well, then it will fall off the ledge.
Yeah, or I don't know.
Hey, don't look for solution. Ask question. Don't look for
question.
Yes.
ask questions to my son.
Yes.
You want to help him come up with a solution.
No, mommy is not asking you. Uncle is asking me to give some questions to a solution in front of. Sorry, my son is talking to me.
No problem.
Yeah, maybe try somebody else. Let me settle him.
Sure, we
Yeah,
come
sure,
back to you.
sure.
Kai, would you like to try?
Mommy is talking to
Okay,
me.
I think this is quite simple. First of all, right, I will ask, like, is there anyone downstairs at the moment? Okay, so if there's someone downstairs, then and can I use something to push the shuttlecock over the ledge and ask the person to help me pick it up?
Oh, downstairs is another big ledge. So if it falls downstairs, it'll just fall on another ledge which you cannot access.
Oh no, you have to push it up further away lah. You don't just let it drop straight down. You got to let it have a trajectory, right, to fly further away, right?
Further,
the other way would be that I will help to push it off the ledge, and I ask my son to go downstairs and pick it up. Yeah. So, and of course, the other thing is, if it's not too high lah, if it's very high, let's say I don't know how many floors is this. If this is like, I guess more than 10 floors, then it's a little bit difficult lah, because the shuttlecock may be blown away by the wind somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Then I would see if you can get one of those things that you can use to, those extendable thongs kind of thing, and see whether I can grab it from the window.
Okay, it's very important to focus on collaborating with our children. Yeah, because what we tend to do is, because we have at least easily 30 years more experience than our children, we tend to jump straight into solving the problem. We find that it's quite wasteful, to wait for them to come out with a solution. Like, wow,
actually,
take too long. Yeah.
Can I just admit that usually it's my sons who gave me the ideas?
Oh, very good. That's very good.
If they do that.
They are the ones who come up with all these weird ideas, and they'll tell me, Maybe, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that?
Which is great, actually. I mean, thanks for being on this, Kai. So the point I'm trying to make is that we have to ask questions to them. And if I were to ask a question, let's say, a lot of us will ask questions like, why were you even playing there in the first place? Why were you playing with the window open and shut? Badminton in the house, who does that? Okay. Or who was the one who chucked it out of the window? Or who was the irresponsible one who left the window open? Now, I can't do anything about it. Okay. Or
it's not very productive to ask the start questions. So I probably
blaming,
won't. I'll ask them later. I'll ask them later when I get it back.
Yes, the point is that a lot of us focus on fact-based questions, okay? What happened? Who did it? When did this happen? Okay, or we'll jump to giving the solution or coming up. The point is that we need to try and shift to curiosity-based questions, okay? So questions like, how can we take it out? Let them come up with 20 solutions if they need to, okay? Tongs, throw it off the window, do something else, try a wire, maybe put a fish hook, I don't know, lots of things. By the way, can I share my solution, what we did eventually? Can I share? We did, we sucked it out with a vacuum cleaner.
Is it workable?
That's another way.
The Dyson one?
That's just any vacuum cleaner, a regular one. I don't have a Dyson.
Can I share what I will do?
Yeah.
Yes. What is it?
I will ask, do you have another shuttlecock? Are you going to play with the shuttlecock anytime soon? Right? If not, how much does the shuttlecock cost, right? You could easily buy another one. So, and if let's say I don't think it's going to be a killer litter, so it will just drop, and I can just say that, it was on the ledge and we can't retrieve it. So I don't think it will constitute any criminal.
Yeah, that's true. But the point is that we want to use this opportunity to have a learning moment there. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
To have a learning moment there, which is, it's not about the money involved. It's really about getting them to think of, what if I used this? What if I used this? How can I go and get this? Okay. It's not about how did this happen, or, who did it? It's about, use this as a curiosity moment. Okay. Let them think of 20 solutions and try them out, and let them come up with it.
Counter argument on that, right, is that time is money. especially when you actually at a certain position, right? You could not spend too much time coming up with a solution for a seemingly very trivial, low cost thing. And if something that can be sorted out with very little cash, right? Then let's just do that. Because sometimes when you start to your basically it's really sometimes I feel that we dealt with some things, right, that is seemingly very trivial, and sometimes we just penny fool, pound foolish, penny wise, pound foolish, right? That we think, oh yeah, this shuttlecock is we unless they're going to play that and we only have one shuttlecock and that we absolutely cannot get a replacement, then yes, we sort it out. Right.
Yeah, no, fair point. But this is just an example.
Yeah, I know.
Many situations of troubles like that. Which
Wait, let me jump in. I feel very strongly about this. I just went to Dunman, one of the 3 elite schools in Singapore, to train 18-year-old how to answer question. Then I made an observation. This is my 4th year already. A lot of children, when their parents are too intelligent, the children become very submissive. Because somehow the parents also always know the answer one. And sadly speaking, a lot of these children end up being in the shadow. You see all the judges' children, the lawyers' children, the doctor, the surgeon's children. It's a bit sad, when you think about it. And for those of us in different religious circles, like the monks, not the monk, the priest kid, the pastor's kid, always have the biggest problem one. Yeah, because they are in the shadow. Then a lot of president scholars, right, just flip through Straits Times and look at all the president scholars. A lot of them, their parents drive taxi, sell hawker center food. It become a cliche, but I've been observing this for many years because as I told you earlier, Varuna and I train both adults and kids. So I realized that parents who are intelligent tend to have a very judgmental attitude when we speak to children. That means we already have the answer. And then whatever question we ask is just to see whether we can lead them to have the same answer that we have. And children are not stupid, They can sense it. They'll say like, Papa, if you know the answer, just tell me why you ask me all these questions. Yeah, but those who are slightly less educated, I mean, some of you may have less educated parents, right? I don't know. Then you tend to ask more questions because you think that my father doesn't really know anyway. So I better stand up, I better research. So, okay, I'm not asking all of us to pretend to be stupid. Yeah, but can we be less judgmental? Yeah, because now the session has taken place for 36 minutes, and I can imagine the scenario going on in your house already. that your children somehow feel like, my dad, my mom is so intelligent. I feel like I shouldn't be asking any question at all. I feel like I shouldn't give any suggestion because I think my dad and mom already know something. So let's wait for them to tell us.
I think you are very right. You're very right. So I acknowledge that point, but to a certain extent, it's still lucky that my girls are still at a very young age,
right?
3 and 8. So I do sometimes give them that nudge, but yes, the elder one, I more and more seem to see that trend of her, tend to look for us for answer rather than go and think about answers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I have this bad habit. I don't want to seem like I don't have this bad habit and I'm saying I had this bad habit for very many years. By the way, a speaker and a coach is 2 different things. So Varuna and I tend to speak well, we're eloquent. But to be a coach is a totally different thing. To be a coach, you need to listen. And Varuna is a good listener, but I'm not really a very good listener. I tend to jump in and interrupt quite often. And my son now is 18, which I mentioned before, and he hates that, He absolutely hated it. He was studying in Hwa Chong for 4 years. And I always say things like, when I was in Hwa Chong, I already, like very judgmental, very arrogant kind of tone. And he hated it. After a while, he kept quiet. And I realized that I'm the one who caused him to keep quiet. Of course, I can blame the school, blame the mom, blame him. I prefer to take ownership. Yeah, so I blame myself. And I changed. So I went for ICF, International Coaching Federation, to learn something very basic. To learn how to ask questions and learn how to listen. So basic, right? Learning how to listen and ask questions. And I had to do it all over again at the age of 41. So now Varuna is showing us in a very shortcut way. I mean, to be fair, this whole thing should be actually 16 hours, but we condense into 1.5 hours. So Varuna is showing us, what kind of questions are curiosity based, and what kind of questions are we just actually trying to probe until our child knows the answer. So now let's shift our brain. That means don't ask a probing question that we already know the answer. Ask a curiosity-based question. And just like what Kai said earlier, maybe our children will surprise us with an answer that we didn't even think about. Yeah. Okay, be open-minded. Okay? Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, that's the point, that the questions that we ask them has to get them to think of solutions and come up with their own ways of doing things. It may be right, it may be wrong, but the point is that they have to come up with multiple solutions. In fact, even in renowned universities like Wharton, where they teach creative thinking, one of the activities they do is they give you 100 paper plates, the professor, and he tells you that go and cut it up in, like, this is pizza, how will you serve it in 100 ways? Okay. So the idea is we have to broaden our horizons and come up with multiple options. And that will come when you ask them curiosity-based questions. Oh, what if this didn't work? What else can we do? How do you think that problem will be solved? If it will fall over the parapet, how do you think we can do that? If you think it will fall onto the trees, how do you think we can solve that? So we just have to get them to start thinking. We probably know the answer already, but the idea is that they need to think of the solution. Okay. So in fact, when Eugene and I, we work with children and we give them, these creative problems to solve, build a tower out of like paper, cups and straws. We ask them these kind of questions, like, if you had only this much resources the next time, how would you build it taller? Or what would you do differently? What if I didn't give you tape? How would you stick it? Okay. So that's the kind of questions we encourage, or we try even ourselves as parents to ask, that you ask them these questions so they come up with solutions and they themselves decipher what the problem could be. What if this happens? You have stated that this could be a problem. Let them come up with an answer. So the idea is that we have to encourage them, challenge them, and give them constructive feedback, which would then just get them to think further. So that's the thing that we have to think about, that what do we say to our kids every day? Are we encouraging their creativity, or are we killing it? Are we telling, if we just tell them, no, this will not work, that's the end of it. They're not going to come up with more solutions. What we need to ask them is, what if this happens? How do you think you will manage this? Why do you think this will work? So coming back to those questions, let's all remember, we have to ask why, how, what if, and not what happened, who did this, this is not a good idea, this will not work. We have to let them come up with the solutions. And that's, so coming back to this again, can we try and reframe the questions that we're going to ask them?
Yeah. Back to this. What question can you ask? Hey, Lei Kim, we gave you enough time to think already. Come, let's go for it.
I think she's having dinner. Do you want us?
Oh, yeah, she's eating, is it?
We can't hear you also.
Yeah. You're not muted, but can't hear your sound. Still cannot. I think maybe, maybe it's loose. The jack could be loose. You unplug and plug again. Yeah, but meantime, let's hear from Kai. What question would you ask? I know your sons generally give you solutions, but as a mother, what question can you ask them?
First of all, I'll ask them like, what can we use to bring this shuttlecock up? Okay.
Very good. What can we use? Okay.
Yeah, and I will also ask them whether is it safe to do those things, to try those, to attempt those things, right? Like, if we want to use the tong, is it very far away from the window ledge, right? Then will it mean that it's dangerous for us to lean over it?
Yeah. What if you have to lean too far?
Yeah, then that will be quite dangerous. Incidentally, once I actually had a cat long time ago, and this is what happened to my cat. It actually jumped off onto the ledge outside my window.
Oh,
Yeah, and it was a bit scary because even though we are only on the 5th floor at the time, but eventually how we managed to get it out from the ledge, right, is that we just coaxed it to come closer lah. Then after that, we just quickly went over there and grabbed him by the neck, the back of his neck, right, and just jerked him out.
Yeah, so yeah, we're going on the right track. We need to ask them for solutions, come up with them, and also come up with the problems with each of the solutions so they can think of different solutions.
I have a point to add here. I think as parents, right, we have a tendency to ask, "Are you sure?" Yeah. And the tone, the face, plus this question sort of make our kids feel like, actually, I'm not so sure. And can you imagine consistently asking this question for 10 years? You know, don't be too surprised that one day your child has lower self-esteem than others. Right? Because they are somehow not sure. My mother and father always ask me, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" I said, yeah, maybe I shouldn't use this method. Yeah, so
Like the second guess yourself, right?
Yes. We tend to they tend to second guess themselves, right? Yeah. So just be mindful.
Okay.
Yeah, just be mindful.
Yeah, it's true because sometimes at work, right, we also say such things and then we repeat the same thing at home as well. Right. So it's sometimes a habitual thing rather than actually we mean it in that way.
Yeah. It's a habit that we carry forward in home. Yeah, you're right. The other thing that I would encourage, so just now is what not to ask. Okay, don't ask, "Are you sure?" Yeah, I would like to encourage all of us to ask, "What else?" Yeah, because a lot of time we know how to ask what question, you know, and then they say vacuum cleaner or tongs. Then we straight away say good. What good? What good? Who are you to say good? Right? Allow your child to prosper, to say more things. Say, "Oh, vacuum cleaner, great. Let's write it down. What else? What else? You know, how about tongs? Tongs, okay, that's another idea. What else?" Right? So the idea of creativity is not a solution. That solution is not creativity lah. Solution is solution. Right? Creativity means the idea of exploring multiple ways. Yes, like what Varuna shared earlier. Multiple ways. And some of these ways, you know, let's say it could be 20 ways to pick up a shuttlecock from your window ledge. Let's say, you know, out of these 20 ways, obviously there are cheaper ways, right? And more expensive ways. Faster ways and slower ways. You know, safer ways and dangerous ways. Yeah, but don't jump the gun, you see. Don't say like, "Oh, sounds dangerous. Oh, sounds costly." Don't jump the gun. Allow your child to walk through the whole journey of coming up with 20.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? What you just now mentioned is, I was thinking about it, that instead of, you know, the probing question to ask, right, is, "Oh, what do you think?" And then they come up with more solution, and actually without actually saying yes or no, then tell them to list down and actually get them to do every one of them, and allow that, you know, some of them will fail and then they will
experiment.
That's we will come. Yes, so that's the point, you know, that they need to come up with their own list, which has to be a longer list. Let it be. In fact, you know, one of the games we play sometimes with the kids, and we do it at home as well, you can try it, you know, just for fun. While going somewhere, I'll say, "Okay, let's think of 50 uses of a pencil." Okay, and we make a list on my phone, and it is so much fun, I tell you, because they are really forced to think. 10, 20, they'll come up. 50, they'll really push themselves. So that's the point. You know, we want to push them to think in multiple ways by just asking the right kind of questions. Oh, okay, what if we use this? Or how do you think that will work? So these are the kind of questions. What else can we do is what we are trying to get at. Then we come to our next part of what we can do. Another thing at home is, okay, my presentation seems to be stuck, is carve time. Now, what do I mean by this? Anybody? What I mean,
when I say that time is money, right, this is exactly the dilemma that we all face. Working parents, and then you have to, some of these things cannot be accelerated. You have to invest time to actually do these processes. It's a journey rather than the outcome that is more important.
Correct. Very right, Kenneth. In fact, there has been a lot of research, and one of the most creative companies we know, Google, 3M, they all have realized that having idle time is very important to let the creative juices flow, which is why they actually give their employees time off to be creative. 3M gave days off for people to just come up with innovative ideas and work on them. So our children also need distraction free time. You know what we tend to do sometimes as parents in the race of trying to make them perfect at everything, we pack their schedule with come back from school, eat lunch, go to this enrichment center, go to this class, do this, do that. They have no time to be just free, observe things around them. They don't have that time. And what they need to do really is explore, observe, and learn, because that is what enhances their superpower, which is here, which is the creative superpower. Because creativity comes from connections in the brain. Okay, we make different connections in the brain, and if you see the brains of creative people, there's been a lot of scientific research. It's different parts of the brain which are working together in creative people. And that's because they've been exposed to a lot of things and they're joining the dots. Coming back to the example that Kai gave of, fish skin being used for treating burns. This is an example of interlinking information. And that interlinkage comes when they have free time. They're observing birds just to observe birds and not to do photography. They're playing music just to play music and not to pass a music grade exam. When children are doing things which are in different aspects, and I mean, we're very lucky. It doesn't have to be an expensive holiday. It could just be a simple trip to the Science Museum, for example. I mean, this is, I took my kids to Kids Stop at Science Museum, and they're experimenting with what kind of different paper objects can fly better, okay? Or just going to the seaside or doing some sort of gardening. All of these things, whoever discovered it just thought of, what if I combined this with this? Or this thing has this quality which I can combine with another thing. In fact, the McLaren stroller, like all of us have used baby strollers, and the person was an aircraft engineer who combined the technology of aircraft folding wheels into a pram. Or the wheel was the wheel has been with us for 5,000 years, but finally somebody saw it on the airport and said, what if I put these wheels on my suitcase? Why am I lifting these heavy suitcases? It took 5,000 years for somebody to think of something so simple, but it's just about observation and having the time to think and just learn and assimilate information from our environment. In fact, another example, Steve Jobs. We all know who Steve Jobs is, right? Yes? He was the creator of fonts on computers. We all know that. And that's because he took calligraphy lessons at school and he thought that, oh, why don't I have these different fonts in computers? So this is what creativity is about. It's about joining the dots. And for that, we need to lay the foundation. Schools will lay the basic architecture of technical knowledge, but all of this exposure, it's our responsibility. Okay.
Talking about the Steve Jobs story, right? I just want to say that the word relevant, right, is in a lot of parents' vocabulary. Yeah, and a lot of parents, if their child is Steve Jobs, I wonder whether they will allow Steve Jobs to attend a calligraphy class or not. Yeah, because it's not immediately relevant. I'm sure by even attending this talk tonight, the three of you are a bit different, right? Because tonight is not about how to score well or how to get rid of phone addiction. All these talks are very popular one. You can get easily 50 parents to attend, and I've been a participant before. Yeah, but when you say creative problem solving, then it's not immediately apparent that it's relevant, for my child's future career, his degree. It's not obvious. Which is why you see, how come only 3 parents? And then just now got parents come in, 5 seconds, they say, I think not so relevant, and then drop out. Yeah, so I would like to invite all of us, I don't believe in coincidences. Tonight you could be doing anything else, but you choose to be here to interact with us. So I would like to invite you to rethink what is really relevant for your child. Just now, Varuna showed pictures of children going to parks, gardens, beach, going to the science center, and then sometimes even just, playing.
Eugene with his.
Yeah, it's like, is this relevant? Of course, for young children, usually we don't ask this question. It's like, anything to do with sports, music, and art is nice. But as they grow older, when they are in their 14, 15, 16, we start to think like, hey, time is so precious. What are you doing? Constantly playing computer game. Hey, you keep playing volleyball, you think you can make a career out of volleyball. We start to say things like that. So I just remind all of us, including me, including Varuna, please be mindful what is relevant may not be so apparent, okay, until much, much later in life.
So
I just share, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Varuna.
Hey, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to share that because I work in the education industry, it's even more obvious to me what the education system has done to our children, to our future generation. Okay. And personally, maybe I'm a very different kind of parent in the sense that I don't send my kids for enrichment classes. Okay. I don't believe in like tuition, all these things, The only time I sign up for Chinese tuition for my older son, right, is because he was feeling the lack of self-confidence a lot. Okay. And he felt like he couldn't keep up with the lessons. So because of that, I say, okay, I'll let him have online Chinese lessons. But it's done in a very interactive, one-on-one way.
Yes.
So that he doesn't feel intimidated. No, not in a class setting, because if it's in a class setting, he will clam up.
Yeah.
He won't dare to speak. But in this setting where he's one-on-one with a teacher, he feels so much more at ease to speak up. Okay, so that's the only time I give in like, okay, I give you, tuition because you feel that you need it.
Yes.
I asked him, I said, do you want class? Do you think you need class? And he said, yes. So we started last school holiday, like a boot camp kind of thing, like every day he has a class. It's quite intensive. People say, wow, Xiao, I got tuition every day. I said, no, he has to cram 3 years worth of Chinese into 1 month. I mean, that is crazy. But he actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So because he enjoyed it so much, I continued. So now he has regular twice a week classes.
You said you're in education means what? MOE or something else?
No. I'm in higher education. I'm in a university.
Okay.
But I'm not a teacher. I'm actually a comm staff.
Right.
But I am in touch with all the faculty,
Yes,
with the people, and even the students. And so I learned a lot from our interns, students who work with us for 6 months stints, and I understand their thinking and what made them take up certain courses or programs. So it helps us, right? And I think that a lot of them come from the kind of background where the parents just prescribe what they need to go and learn. Okay, like, oh, you go and take up this course, you take up that course, things like that. But for me, I always believe in, and maybe it's because I read this book called Strength Finder. I don't know whether have you all done Strength Finder before.
Yes.
But the author always say that it's much better to focus your energy on building up someone's strength than to try and level up somebody's weaknesses.
Yep.
And I truly believe in that, where I see my children and I think, what are their strengths, and what are their weaknesses, and for one, maybe his language skills may not be so good, but his I would say motor neuron connection is very good. He's fantastic with spatial kind of things, so his mind thinks very fast. Like, so he can really thrive in areas like gaming, for example, playing music. he plays the violin. He somehow he can learn the moves, the pieces faster lah. Okay, and he's very good with like robotics and so on. So I just said, okay, you like all these things, right? You can channel your energy in those things. Okay, but of course, not to the point where you neglect your studies lah. Studies still must do, right? Because it's Singapore lah. So I can't tell him that you don't study and then you just go and be a gamer, right? But that's his dream lah. His dream is to be an e-sport player. And I told my husband, I don't discount that, I totally don't discount that. Or I won't say that, wow, this kind of thing, where got future? Most people will think that, right? Like, you're gonna be a gamer, where got future?
You don't even know what all will be there in the future. I mean,
but yeah, exactly. And and as you mentioned just now, like in the next 30 years, 20 years, what kind of jobs will be here?
Yeah.
We have been grappling with this question in our university for the longest time. Okay, like how do we prepare our students for the working?
Creativity is one of the keys, because we have to plant the dots. I mean, I don't know about how fast universities will catch up. A lot of them are recognizing it and trying to move, but the pace is not fast enough. And why should we wait for university to do that when we as parents are in charge of the home entity, right? The children spend maximum time with us. So we should take on that responsibility by doing these small things which are very relevant. These are the ones which are really relevant.
But relevance is relative. It's depending on which era you're in, right? I mean, like today, like 20 years ago, maybe you'll say, oh, being an engineer is very relevant. Go and learn all the STEM subjects and things like that. But hey, over here, we are very, very conscious of the fact that AI and robots are taking over jobs. Even my job can become obsolete in the next 10 years, And in fact, I think I also read some of these WEF articles talking about how jobs like in banking, in healthcare, in security are taken over by technology.
It's the new era is to use your abilities along with technology creatively to come up with solutions which are better. That's why there's a new term which is being coined, which is called super creativity. Using AI along with creativity to come up with even better solutions. Something that neither machines nor humans, even with their creative ability, can do together. So this is the next level of creativity that is being talked about. And that's why it's important that, we start taking steps. And children are really born creative. It's just that because we start classifying only the math or the science or their language skills as being intelligent, that they stop thinking about other things.
Correct.
Okay, so and relevant. If any of you have time later, do look up this talk called "Do Schools Kill Creativity" by Sir Ken Robinson. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, it's a beautiful talk. Talks about the similar thing on the similar subject. He's knighted because of his education, because of his research in the education sector. So if you want to take it down, "Do Schools Kill Creativity?"
Can I also encourage all of us to write another word? It's called polymath, POLYMATH. Yeah. So because most of us are roughly the same age, I suppose, like late 30s to late 40s. Then we are educated in an era where being a specialist has a special prestige to it, and plus the fact it earns better salary. Yeah, but that era is over already. It is over. Yeah. Now people need to connect, right? To re-emphasize what Kai just said and also what Kenneth said earlier. We need to learn how to connect the dots. It's not just calligraphy to handphone. That part is relatively simple. Yeah, but even robotics to medical sciences, right? Yeah, even like for me as a coach, how I can use AI, how I can use the digital space. That means a coach is not just sit down, talk to people all the time. That's almost exchanging time for money. But how do I use AI? How do I use automation? So that people can get coached with or without me being there. That's like the whole new era of coaching. Also, anyway, this is a very big topic. Probably we have to read at least 10 different books about it. Yeah, but at least today is a start of a conversation. Start asking your child the right questions, and also carving out time is what Varuna is saying. Don't carve out time for specific enrichment courses like what Kai say, but carve out time to do anything with a capital A. That means your child suddenly want to go kayaking, want to pick up earthworms, things that you think like, what is this for? You can score better, man, or O level, right? Don't ask that question. Get rid of this temptation. Allow them to prosper, to explore, and then do seemingly irrelevant things so that their brain can connect the dots.
Because there's a lot of learning in just observing and exploring. So that's the point. So is this our family time? Or is it otherwise? It's something that we have to think of. Okay, so give yourself a challenge that maybe at least, if not in the weekdays, I understand that all of us have a lot of work commitments, but at least, maybe a weekend afternoon is dedicated to doing exploratory things with our children. Okay, just exploring and exposing them to different sorts of activities, and you never know what will click where. I mean, I know microwave is not a great example, but the person who invented the microwave was actually, he combined his cooking knowledge with his radio wave knowledge, because he realized that the chocolate was melting in his pocket. And that's when he realized that, these kind of waves can actually help to cook. So anything is relevant.
There's one more thing I wanted to add to creative problem solving skill when it comes to time. We can of course say that we don't know what's going to happen in the future, which is true. But I'm going to make a prediction right now. And please write down. So I predict that there will be 3 areas where it will always, okay, and I mean always, for eternity, be relevant. Always. Okay, so the first part is called high touch. As long as human beings are still around. I mean, one day when no more human beings, then of course no more high touch. But as long as there's still human being, and if your child learns to have high touch, that means your child learns how to connect with another human being in a very authentic way, right? Learn how to empathize, learn how to sit down and listen, learn how to persuade, influence, to negotiate, to achieve win-win. Then I guarantee that your child will always have a job. Right? Because any field that you can think of requires high touch. Any field, including software engineering, including gaming, right? Including the surgeon. My friend, by the way, I came from a school which end up with a lot of surgeons. Okay, so a lot of my classmates are surgeons, and then they tell me that one of the studies they learn is how to talk to elderly. Right? Because if you need to perform a surgery and you explain wrongly to a Hokkien speaking elderly, you are dead. You are dead. You may even lose your license. So they are so good in holding the scalpel and even the robots of surgery, but they don't know how to talk to a Hokkien speaking auntie. That's like missing high touch. And some, not the language problem, some are not willing to sit down and patiently explain to an auntie what's going on for the surgery, and therefore wrong decisions are made, and then they go to the court of law, children start to sue the doctor, blah, blah, blah. Just go and read Straits Times for the full details. So may I suggest high touch will never go wrong. Learn to speak to your child, listen to your child, and encourage your child to also ask good questions. So that's called high touch. The second is called high thinking. Thinking skill got low thinking and high thinking. Okay, this one you can go and research what is low thinking and what is high thinking. In fact, there are 7 levels of thinking. Just because your child is thinking doesn't mean your child is thinking at a high level, right? So low level, just to cut to the chase, is memory work, is called low level, right? To memorize a formula, to memorize a equation or a sentence to copy and paste onto a science paper, that is very low level, right? That's easily, just with a snap of a finger, replaceable by any machine. Even the low level machine can replace you. But the highest possible level thinking is called creation. Machines cannot create. Machines are programmed, right? But we humans can create. We can change kerosene to light bulb. We can change light bulb to LED. Right? We can change a car to a self-driven car, to an EV. So we can create. So when we say creativity, right? I mean, today the whole night is talking about creativity. How can your child constantly raise their level of thinking to a level that is way beyond what machines can do? Machines cannot. I mean, machines can play chess and win you because that doesn't require creativity. That just requires probability. Probability is not creativity, okay? Creativity is really like no one did it before. And then suddenly you come up and say, hey, why don't we try this? Why don't we experiment with this? Why don't we combine this industry with that industry? So machines can't do that, but humans can do that. So that's the second level, which I can guarantee you, if your child can think at a high level, creatively, strategically, critically, then your child will always have relevance in society, in very strategic leadership ways. Okay, the third high, anybody wants to guess? Not high cholesterol, something else. Hey, Lei Kim, come, you have finished eating. What's the third high?
Third high,
Yeah.
high moral values.
Wow, that's a good one. But I will consider it as high touch. High touch.
Okay.
That means a person needs strong values to have high touch, right? Yeah. No? Okay, I ask Yiling. Yiling just joined us. Yiling is my old friend. She's not old, but she's my old friend. Hey, Yiling, are you around?
Yeah, I am. But then I'm in my kids' room putting them to sleep.
Hey, no problem. Multitasking. That's what mothers do. Okay. You want to
Fathers
guess?
also, please.
Yeah.
Let's not be.
Sorry, stereotype.
My husband still
Want
putting
to
my
guess?
kids to sleep.
High touch, high thinking, and what's the third high?
High empathy? Or you put that under high touch
High touch.
as well?
That's high touch, yes.
Not sure.
No worries. Kenneth, last try. High what?
Applicability, something like that.
High applicability.
Adaptability, maybe. I don't know.
I would consider as high thinking. So a person who can constantly be agile in their thinking would be adaptable, and that's high level thinking. Yeah. Don't throw things at me. The third high is high tech.
High tech.
Yeah, the most obvious things are usually not so obvious. Yeah. Do you know all primary 3 now have to learn coding, right? In Singapore, I don't know about Japan. Right? In Singapore, have to learn coding. Yeah. So coding is the new English. Right? Now, I mean, if you don't speak English, forget about finding a job. That's for sure. Yeah, and
That's also because it teaches you to think.
Yes, logical thinking.
Logical thinking. It's not just because everybody needs to code eventually,
Yes.
but it's because it is teaching you to think logically,
Yes.
which we can also do by asking them the right questions, right?
Yes.
If you're doing this, what will happen, or how will this work out? What if you did that instead of this? That's what logical thinking is about. You draw those diagrams for those of you. So yes, so let's come back to our third thing, which is, first, before I come to the third thing, let me ask you, how many of you remember your children learning to walk? Raise hand. How many times do they fall?
Try not to let them fall. The wife always get mad when you let
the wife, another stereotype.
Quite a bit.
How many times do they fall?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. What do we do? Do we tell them stop walking, you can't do it?
Nah.
Ever? Do we ever tell them that? No, right? We encourage them. If they've done 2 steps, we clap for them. We tell them, come, you can do it. You can walk faster, right? Do we do that?
Yeah.
Did we do that as our kids were younger? Kenneth, you have the youngest one who's 3, so you probably still remember. But we try to encourage them, right? But as they grow up and they do other things.
It's like this where we have to encourage, but then we look at our time, like Eugene, right, where our family members, our parents, fall down and say, okay, stand up, pick, and then walk again, because we cry, and then they will just. So that's one of the things that I also feel that we give too much encouragement, but then we don't also doesn't roughen them up as well. So I sometimes have having different thoughts about giving them too much encouragement, and then always show the nice side of the society or things, but then we don't roughen them up for future hard knocks in life.
Yeah. So that's the point is that if we encourage them to walk when they are kids, but as they grow up, a lot of us start stigmatizing their failure. Okay. We tell them you can't do this, so it's not possible. But the point is that we have to remember that unless they try, creativity is what? It's something that is being done differently. Okay. So obviously it is not something that people are used to or we are used to, for example. Okay. So we are very tempted, it's very tempting to say, this is not going to work or it's not working, stop doing this. But here's the example of Thomas Edison. What does he say? I haven't failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that don't work. Okay. So that's because innovation or creativity is inefficient. It takes a lot of efforts and tries to reach the right answer. It's not straightforward. If it was straightforward, everybody would be doing it, and it's not creativity anymore. Okay. So what we really need to imbibe in our behavior is, I think one of you had said it earlier, that we have to let them fail. And because fail does not mean that they are not capable of doing it, but it means that it is the first attempt in learning. We have learned that this way does not work, so I need to try another way. But that doesn't happen. Usually we start stigmatizing it, and children start to believe that there's no point in trying another way because they already, I'm a fool, I look stupid doing this, so I should not do it. But it's our role as parents to encourage that, okay, now you know that this doesn't work, so we have to try another way. I know it will take time. I know it will take a lot of questioning, but they need to learn that it's about experimentation. A lot of things are about experimentation, and unless they are okay and confident to experiment, they will not be creative. They have to be okay to fail, because fail in the traditional sense does not mean what it is. So in fact, I have been very tempted, and I've done that just recently. I have printed this out as a poster and stuck it in my boys' room, because I want them to remember. And I tell them, if mommy tells you to stop trying something, to do it differently, remind me, and I will remind you. We all remind each other. So this is something we did at home. We tried that, we built a kite and we tried to fly it. It didn't fly. Does that mean we stop trying to build a kite, or do we ask questions? We can practice asking questions again here. But how do I make this better? Okay. What if I tried using a different kind of a stick? This one may be too thick. What if I tried a different shape? But that means I have to not give up. I have to try. And eventually we did make one which flew for a bit, wasn't the best, but we did give it about 10 shots at least. Same with the airplanes. I can say I don't know how to make an airplane, or we can try different kinds of airplanes and see which one flies further, which one flies higher, which one flies faster. It's just the experimentation. It's the mindset that we are building with these small things, that if this doesn't work, I'm going to try another way. And these small things, the mindset builds up into bigger things in life. So when you fail, you push and persist until success happens. So yeah, we try with baking. I have a couple of years ago attempted my hand at baking, which was pathetic because I really cannot bake to save my life. And this is me and my son baking. It was rock solid, not lying, but we didn't give up. It didn't mean that we're going to stop doing it. It just means we need to think about how we're going to do it differently so it can be done better. So now we can save my life with baking. Not perfect, but yes, the point is that we have to persist until success happens. That's what experimentation is about. And there's Eugene trying with his luck with theater. Is it, Eugene?
Yeah, my daughter is introvert. Actually, all three of my kids are introvert. I don't know what happened to my DNA. Yeah, but anyway, I decided like, well, I can leave them alone, of course, right? Just grow up as an introvert all their life, or I can expose them to public speaking. Yeah, and instead of just making them feel very shy and embarrassed, I decided to go on stage together with her. Yeah, I mean, this particular YouTube video is just me and her, but we have a few where the whole family goes up together. Yeah, we are not very good actors, by the way. Yeah, but at least this is a kind of experiment that we like our children to remember. My wife, Thank you for asking. She is if you know DISC, DISC, I'm a very I and S. I meaning very like popularity seeking, and then S is very supportive, steady, so relationship centric. She is very D and C. Yeah, very, very dominant. And then very compliant to processes, to MOE education and things like that. Yeah. So she's not introverted, but she tends to be very task oriented. Yeah, that's her. Yeah. So anyway, so our 3 children, I mean, it's still too early to see whether they are DIS or C, but at least when you put 10 children together, it's very obvious which one is extroverted children, which one is introverted children. They'll like raise hand, volunteer to be MC, and then while my 3 kids tend to hide behind my back. Yeah. So I mean, this is just one example. I'm not asking any of you to go and sign up for drama classes. Yeah, but if you want to expose your children to new skills, right? It doesn't matter what skills. Like Varuna said, which paper can fly higher, or which Lego car can fly over the biggest train. All these things is worth experimenting rather than just reading a textbook to find out or watching a video to find out.
Yeah, I mean, the easier solution for us to do the kite could have been just watch a YouTube video and figure it out. But the point is that we want to build that mindset of experimenting, because that is what is needed to be creative, to come up. You're first going to have to think of multiple solutions and try each one of them. I think one of you had mentioned it. So that has to be done on a regular basis with the smaller things, because that's where our brain is developing. And right from childhood, they have that mindset that it's okay. It's okay if I can't do it, and I can just try another way. That's what we want to build in them from childhood. Because as they grow up, they just become very scared. I couldn't do it. People will make fun of me. Somebody will scold me. My teacher will say that. My parent will say that. My friends will say that. We cannot control the rest of the environment, but we can control our home environment. And that's the support that we can give them, that just go ahead. It's okay. We'll ask you the questions. We'll encourage you to try again.
Can I just check, right? For when we talk about childhood and then allowed creativity, is there any kind of research or paper that says that at a certain age, that is where you will actually if you don't have the environment, it starts to decrease, and people go into that mode of not relying on memory or whatever skill set rather than actually creativity?
So actually, I've read, I cannot find it right now. I mean, I can't recall the name, but there has been a research done where they've realized that as children grow up, I think around 8 or 9, their creativity starts declining. Okay. And it's a lot to do with the environment that they're in. So there is a massive drop in creativity as children grow up. So it's really on us, at least whatever environment we can control. We cannot control all the environment that they're surrounded by, but whatever we can control, we've got to nurture it further, because it does drop massively. And I'll post this session, if I'm able to find that link, I will share with you separately.
Yeah, among all the books I read, so far, it's not specific to creativity, because don't forget, creativity is an invented term, right? Yeah, but in terms of neuron connections, like what Varuna shared earlier, then it's between 0 to 6. Yeah, so you can imagine a child is naturally curious. I mean, they have no other choice but to be curious, right? Because they know nothing. Yeah, so they put things into their mouth, they taste, like, is this edible, not edible? Then they smell. I mean, babies, you can imagine when your child was a baby, they behave a lot like animals, right? They go around putting everything, licking everything, sticking thumbs at everything. They don't know any concept of safety at all. Yeah, so that's the curious age. Then as they continue growing, something very disastrous happened. Right, it's called primary 1. So they go into primary 1 and they sit, exactly like what the TED talk that Varuna just shared. The Sir Ken Robinson. They start to sit into rectangles. In preschool, right? You still remember preschool is in cluster 1. Everyone has group work, and then they paste art everywhere. And then the moment they change to primary 1, they start to be in this rectangular room with rectangular matrix model of a classroom.
Which was made for the Industrial Revolution. We all know, right, that our current education system is only about 100 plus years old. It was made for the Industrial Revolution because they needed people who were good at maths and science, could go ahead and do production, could go ahead and manufacture and produce things for the economy. That's where the education system came from, but it has to evolve now. That's not what it is.
Yeah, so that's why actually just now when there was mentioned about 6
Yes,
to 8, and if you look at 8 years old, right, is primary 3. That's where the exam starts to come in. Right? I mean, last time in our old days, primary 1 already start exam, but now P3 is the time that we start exam. So yeah, I do. That's what, back to my point earlier about education system really kill the creativity. And one of the things that I do observe right now in my girls' school, which is an international school, right, they're still not in a rectangular format, right? They are pretty much like the US style where they have just one table, 2 persons sitting there and then like facing each other. That kind. It's not so much all facing the teacher, and then they still have a lot of
yes, I agree. And I think even Healing has a point where she's saying that a lot of even MOE schools, they've started trying to put them in groups, which is there. But my point is, it's not sacrosanct to the shape. The point is that we are now, I think schools are trying to, to have interdisciplinary learning, but we have to expose them to a lot more than what schools are doing. What schools are doing is in the right direction, but not in the right pace.
One of the things is also the class size, right? It's too big. Teacher doesn't have time to dedicate.
Yeah, we all know the shortcomings of the current education system. The point is, what can we do above and beyond that?
Yeah,
that's
as parents. We are left with 5 minutes. I want to respect our time. So can we list down some things we can do? Yeah, and then as for suggestions for MOE, we do it another deal.
Yeah, but I think as parents, we have to go above and beyond. It doesn't matter. I mean, I know schools are trying to now move, but it's a mammoth task. It's moving at a mammoth pace only. So we need to be faster, nimbler. So something that we can do every day, what is in our control, we take charge of that.
Okay, hey, everyone give a suggestion. There are 6 of us. Let me start the ball rolling. So can I suggest that during dinner time, we don't talk about schoolwork? Okay, don't say have you done your homework? I mean, I know it's like very tempting. It's like French fries in front of you. It's like, oh, have you done your homework? Have you bathed? Like, this is exactly preconditioned. Your parents ask you that question, and now you ask the next generation, and the next generation asks the next generation. Yeah, so we talk about current affairs. And no need to think of relevance, like what has Ukraine war got to do with this person's physics and chemistry? Like, who cares? Like, talk about the Ukraine war, talk about right and wrong, talk about Putin, talk about Will Smith slapping another actor, talk about things that are happening in the world so that they can express their opinion, right? And try to avoid saying
what you do at work or anything else, or a school,
today,
what you observe on the road. Maybe you just observed or you gave a stranger a smile and that had an impact. It's just about perspective and getting them exposed to different emotions, different things, different cultures, whatever you can.
Or a lucky draw. Put a box in the middle of the dining table, and then people draw the topic and say, today we talk about archaeology, talk about history. So fun. So that we are not fixed to one topic. Some families, because both are educators, so they somehow only talk about education, right? Or doctors, both are doctors, only talk about. So the idea of a lucky draw can allow you to completely go off tangent, and the off tangent will help your child to think more broadly.
In fact, we're so lucky, you go off tangent, suddenly you come up with something else. There's so much TED Talk, YouTube, there's so much learning that can happen on just a 5-minute video on a different topic and then discuss on it. Just another simple way to expose them, okay, today we watch a video on how it rains. Today we watch a video on earthworms or anything under the sun, the topic they like. So yeah.
Lakim is going to leave soon. Lakim, before you leave, tell us the idea. Give us an idea where parents can do something about.
Also fill up our feedback form, please. I've sent the link.
Yeah. Hey, let's multitask a little bit. So while Lei Kim is sharing, the rest of us fill out the feedback form. Give us more feedback. We want to run more such webinar. So we would love to hear from you about the topic. And also we want to brainstorm. Oh, Lei Kim left already. We want to brainstorm with you about how to help our kids. Yeah, because Varuna and I don't hold a monopoly of information. Yeah, so we want to hear from Kai, hear from Kenneth, hear from Yiling, and then together, perhaps we can come up with some very unique program for our kids. And then all 5 of us can take turns conducting it, for example. Yeah, because I'm sure all of you have some experience conducting something in your lifetime. Yiling, your kids sleep already? Oh, very good, very good. Successful. Congratulations.
Every night they will sleep. It's just what time, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. We all know it.
Okay, hey Kai, maybe you start. What kind of idea do you have to stimulate our kids' creativity?
Like sometimes we can do like an open-ended story. Like I start and then the next one continue for like maybe 5 minutes. And then the other one will continue for the 5 minutes and so on and so forth, and see where we
Very
end
good
up.
idea.
Yeah, that's a very, very good way of doing it. In fact, I do a lot of communication skills, creative communication skills, and we do that as one of the activities. It's a good game. Thanks for sharing that, Kai. I think we can all learn from each other and take ideas back home.
How about you, Yiling? What idea do you have?
So one of the things that I do a little bit time tight, right? And also because my first child is actually a little bit lacking in social skills. So one of the things I do with him is as I walk him to school every day, we try to observe the people around. So because now he's younger, so and not everybody, I suppose, I think he hasn't realized that there are really only like 3 things that people go and do. But we observe the people around and we try to guess, based on the clues of, whether they're dressing, what they're holding or something, what they're going to do. As in, where are they on their way to, maybe where they came from, and, sort of to make up a story around what this person might be doing.
Very fun. I'm sure he really enjoys that time with you in the morning.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Yiling.
Kenneth? Idea?
I think back to the point about carving time, right? I think that's the one thing that all of us has kind of been neglecting, right? Because of our day job, because of all the other responsibility. And I can share with you, right? I count myself blessed to come to Japan, that I can actually, because of the fact that I don't have a helper. In Singapore, I used to have helper, but over here it's just you can't afford that, and so I have then in that case have to walk my child to school. Actually, I cycle them to school, right? Don't have a car here as well. So those things actually make a difference, and you can that one is actually to my 3 years old where she's only like, just knowing me. But I actually, for my first kid, the 8 years old one, the first 4 years I was working, and only when she come to Japan, I can see the difference, right? That the closeness between my elder and my younger one, the younger one really is very sweet to me, right? Because I send her to school every day, and then I put her to sleep as well. And the second one, nowadays I do walk her to school, and that's the thing that I think you have to do that even if you have a car or whatever. The time spent walking, right? That's what you say. You observe things, you smell the roses, you see things, right? Actually, those are the things that actually bring in the connection, and also that sometimes the car, yes, it's convenient, but then you don't see things happening around as well. That's the part that actually feel some of the things that they don't see, that the cloud is ever changing. Why today's cloud is so different from the other day's cloud, right? So those things actually is, as I said, the environment, right? That we and more importantly is, even if you have the environment but you don't spend time with them, the probing questions that you talked about, asking the questions, not the obvious one, but the questions that give them further thinking about what they should do, those are the things that actually will make a difference. And that's why I was wanting to know, because for my 8 years old, I do see that she still have that. She is still very innocent. Thank God, because of this place doesn't have exams and all these things.
Yeah.
But I wonder, you know, sooner or later I will go back, and then I would know. Probably I'll see the education system has a toll on her, and then she will not be so happy, and she will not. Nowadays, she still do a lot of things that is very, you know, out of them. I would never do, right? Going to catch insects that, you know, we
So you're
used to
giving
do.
her the right exposure. Don't worry. I think your
Correct.
the toll is
But
as much as toll.
When I go back to Singapore, all this will change. The enrichment class that Kai was talking about, but I don't subscribe to that. But you know, I don't know whether I can hold steadfast to that belief that, you know, that
I think the
because it's all
pressure is
about
also how
competition.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't worry. I
correct.
think there's a lot that we can do as parents. So let's not lose hope and let's not give in completely to the education system. There's something that we can do every day, and let's continue our pursuit of doing that every day. And I think in the interest of time, since it's late, I'm sure you all want to. But it would be great if you could just take a few minutes and just fill up the feedback form on the link attached, and we will take a picture before
Yes,
we
yes.
leave.
I believe Kenneth already done, right? Your feedback form.
Yeah.
Very done so.
Hey, thanks.
Iling and Kai, would you kindly take a
Okay,
minute
right
to
now.
fill it out?
Okay.
And also, I
Promise it
owe,
will not take more than 60 seconds.
60 seconds. And I owe 3 of you a Grab voucher. Because only 3 of you stay all the way until now.
I can't.
No need lucky draw already. No need lucky draw. Oh yeah, you can't use the Grab voucher, sorry. Yeah, I don't know what voucher to give you.
But yeah, no, it's actually doesn't really, this kind of things, right? Actually, you don't really need kind of thing to entice people, right? It's really area forum for us to exchange experience.
I know. Not everyone thinks like you. Yeah,
Wrong.
even to get people to
Wrong.
come on time. Yeah, they ask me.
I know
Sorry.
now it's already 10:30 in Japan, and I haven't showered and everything. I told you I was just finishing the conference
That's
call.
why
so-
I think your kids are very lucky, because you obviously have an open mindset to learn and to give them this kind of environment. Not every parent is like that. Yeah, which is why we make it our mission to keep running these kind of workshops.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
Keep the faith.
Okay.
Keep the faith. Yeah, when I go to Japan, I can look for you. Emily is planning for December. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, thanks,
Okay.
Kenneth. Keep in touch.
We did,
Hey, look, I haven't photo, no photo yet. Wait.
Yeah,
Photo.
yeah,
Photo first. Yeah.
Iling, are you able to
I think
come back on video?
teaching to
Yep.
fill in the form, is it?
Yeah, I'm filling in the form at the same
Okay.
time, but I think I'm still on the video as well, so it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, but we cannot see
No,
you.
you're
right?
on the
Cannot see you.
video.
Yeah.
No, I think because when she switched the screen to fill
Yeah.
up the form, then
Oh, I see. So actually my video is not showing. Okay.
It's not showing. Yeah.
I see. Okay, just give me. Okay, I just submitted. So let me come back.
Oh, wonderful. Great.
Where
Okay,
am I?
let's take a
Here.
picture. For all you know, next time it will appear in the museum. The day,
A
the
museum.
day our kids change.
Probably on your Facebook page more than a museum.
Yeah, on my Facebook page. Okay, everybody thumbs up to show that future is bright. Future is bright for our kids. Okay, ready? Get set. Go. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thank
We'll
you.
share the picture with you as well. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
To apply
Thank you.
everything we discussed. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Good night.
Bye.